Hello, colleagues. Teaching English as a second or foreign language here in the US, in Europe, or anywhere else around the world. This is Jelani, and those of you who took a Framingham State College's International Education Program graduate course with me, you know who I am. Those of you who haven't or do not know me, please know that I teach developmental reading and writing at a community college here in New York. My background is in applied linguistics, and in this channel I have lessons on reading, writing, listening, and speaking. But today I have created a different playlist just for teachers of English. So let me start today's presentation, not a lesson, by saluting you. Whoever you are, wherever you are teaching English, you are making a difference in your students' lives, and I salute that. So you may be having to deal with artificial intelligence and AI-generated academic essays that your students are not really writing, but submitting to you. Here in New York and everywhere else in the US, educators are, dealing with this problem of academic dishonesty. In my class, no matter how many times I urge them to produce their original work, students keep cheating and turning in AI-generated papers. So I am focusing on college students, but if you teach in high school or some other educational institution, this is relevant to you. But I want to focus on why college students should not use AI, because we have a big issue here and nobody really knows how to deal with it. I don't have a clear answer for you, but I wanted to discuss this because I think this warrants a serious discussion among educators. So why college students should not use AI is today's presentation. And what are the objectives is to first define what AI-generated writing is and how it impacts our students' writing skills. We should also compare human-written and AI-generated essays. And there are, just so you know, there are AI detecting tools online. Zero GPT is one of my favorite because it does a great job of scanning inauthentic computer-generated essays. We will also today discuss why it's important for students to submit original work and also identify AI-generated passages. Okay, so let's begin. The rise of AI in writing. Clearly, before ChatGPT, I call it ChatGPT. It's called ChatGPT, but students are not chatting, they're cheating. And I don't have a term for it. It's not plagiarism, it is semi-plagiarism, but they're not writing anything. Plagiarism, usually people steal ideas. Students cheat and find secondary sources and cut and paste and present them as their own ideas. So I don't have a term for it, but anyway, the AI-generated essays have become a commonplace in academia. So let's begin. What are some ethical concerns? Well, using AI for essays is plain dishonest. It's an act of academic dishonesty. And AI-generated work is often plagiarized. AI is artificial intelligence. It is not human intelligence. It cannot think critically, or it certainly cannot express its own opinion. Okay, so academic integrity and AI. And just so you know, I am going to prepare another presentation on plagiarism because I think that's also very important to discuss. Academic integrity and AI, plagiarism is also an act of academic dishonesty. So universities around the world, colleges and universities, I hope high schools too, they emphasize original work. I keep asking my students that they need to give me their brains. I don't want artificial intelligence. I'm dealing with humans. AI-generated essays violate honor codes, and AI cannot engage in true academic research. We have our libraries, databases, lots of secondary sources, journal articles, research papers, and I give my students research assignments and they do research. It's information gathering and critical thinking. Okay, so writing versus AI writing, human writing. What are the key differences? Well, humans can think critically, they can think logically, they can be creative, and they have personal insights, into issues of so-called social significance. AI cannot do any of these. It just simply collects data from various sources and gives it to you. It says, here, this is what I found. So it's generic. And if you use ChatGPT, which I do not recommend, but if you're a student, you can easily try it out. See that the responses are how generic, and they lack depth. They lack critical analysis. And they may even be wrong sometimes. So there are two passages. And since I'm sharing this data with you, the first example is a passage written by a human, and the second one is AI generated. So if you use this as an exercise, perhaps you can show these two passages to your students and say, compare the two and tell me the differences. What stands out as something unusual or awkward, and see if they can do this. More likely than not, I think they will identify. Okay, so here's one exercise. You can do this with your students. Ask them to compare the two. There's introduction 1 and introduction 2, and ask them which one is which, and see how it goes. Okay, exercise 2, again, the same thing. And I'm not giving an answer here because I want them to really think critically, analyze these two passages, and maybe have a live discussion of the difference between an AI-generated academic essay and a human-written essay. Okay? The third exercise, again, identify the human-written body paragraph. So the first couple of slides, I believe they were an introduction to an academic essay, and then here is a paragraph in which the writer supports the thesis statement. Okay? Exercise 4, the same thing. Again, this is the second body paragraph, identifying the human-written body paragraph. So do this exercise, and I'd love to hear from you. Exercise 5. Now there is a conclusion. Obviously, the essay ends with a concluding paragraph. So show them these two passages and ask them to maybe identify both. Tell you which one is human written and which one is AI written. Okay? So why is it? They may say, no, I find these ideas that they're great and I use them, these secondary sources, and they help me learn. They help me know about the topic I'm writing about. Well, AI lacks, as I said before, it lacks deep analysis and critical thinking. It cannot have a personal insight. I was just playing with it the other day, and I asked, and I said, why did you break up with your girlfriend? And it was very honest, because it's not human. It says, I'm not human. I do not have a girlfriend. So that just proves that they don't have anything personal to say or express emotion. So, yeah, so that's the example. Ask ChatGPT why I broke up with a girl. They can even say, what did you eat yesterday? Or what did you do this last weekend? And they will get a funny answer, or maybe the ChatGPT will give an honest answer that, I don't socialize. I'm not human. Okay, so why is it important? This is the point that you want to drive home, to your students. So say, it's very important for you to think critically when you write. Well, these are the points I have for your reflection. Students, they are emotional human beings. They have emotions, and they can empathize with the pain and suffering of others. So let's say if it's about immigration, some students tend to support immigrants, and others do not. They say, no, they're a burden on our economy. But humans can do this. They can emote. All right, so I think this is why it's important for them to think critically, to write a balanced, well-organized, and well-thought academic essay. All right, the risk of AI plagiarism detection. So, most universities like mine, I teach at the City University of New York, CUNY, we have AI detection tools. And I just mentioned earlier, the Zero GPT is one of many, and they take colleges, my college, I do not know what the tradition is overseas in other colleges in Asia or Africa or wherever you are, Latin America, South America, how educational institutions there treat plagiarism. But here, it's a serious academic violation. Some students can be put on probation first if they do it just the first time. But if they continue to show recidivism, they keep using AI or cheating or plagiarizing, they may be expelled from college. So that's the risk, and I tell my students, I say, listen, do not cheat. Just write your own work. Do not worry about grammar errors. I'm more interested in your ideas than your words. Okay, so why professors can identify AI writing? I just mentioned it just to substantiate that. We are experts. We are language experts. We were doctors of language, English language in this context. We can tell in our sleep if a student has submitted original work or not, right? I often joke with my students and say, "Hey, I'm a doctor of language. I am a doctor too. I'm not a doctor of medicine, but I'm a doctor of language. This is what I have done all my life." So we are experts. We can tell, right, if a work is not original. They need to understand this. Okay, so reasons why they must write their own essays without getting any assistance from artificial intelligence or ChatGPT. Why should they write their own essays? Now, these are the points that you may want to sell them on. It builds critical thinking, and it definitely improves their writing skills because they're using their brains. They're producing thoughts and ideas. They're finding ways to support their argument. They also revise. If they turn in a first draft, you give them your feedback, then they go back to the table and then they revise, right? Encourages personal and academic growth. My students are empowered with knowledge. As they write more, they actually give me very solid, good, positive feedback. They're saying, "Professor, my writing is improving. My reading is improving now as a result of that." So it's important that you help them understand why they must write their own essays. Okay, what are the consequences of relying on AI for writing? I talked about it earlier, that the students can be expelled from college in extreme cases. But also there's something even more profound to that. They do not develop as language learners. So there's a lack of personal development too. AI generated errors, they're always inaccurate information if they get their material or their content ideas from artificial intelligence. So there are errors and there are inaccuracies. So let's just wrap this up. The summary of today's presentation, key takeaways is that artificial intelligence lacks depth and originality. AI generated essays can be detected easily and students can be penalized. So this, from very early on, from the get-go, when you assign essays, academic essays to your student, it might be a good idea to explain it to them that, they need to be honest. So academic integrity is important to you and the institution that you're teaching in. Writing your own work improves critical thinking and academic success. So these are the points I wanted to make today. Please feel free to share this presentation with your colleagues because I am sure that you are also coping with this agonizing, act of dishonesty, academic dishonesty. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Please feel free to give me your feedback if you have any questions or concerns. As I said before, I do not have a clear answer because this is just an ongoing problem, and we discussed this issue at department meetings. I discussed this with my colleague. Everybody is fed up. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please write in the comment box and ask any questions or even any suggestions or feedback you have depending on your own experiences of dealing with your students' academic dishonesty. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you soon. My next presentation is on plagiarism, which is kind of interrelated both, but the plagiarism is a little bit different. So I will see you then. Thank you. Bye-bye.